are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the LaPorte County Board of Zoning Appeals. You can find the information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order the June 21st meeting of the LaPorte County Board of Zoning Appeals. If you would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Dwayne, would you lead us?
Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Could I get a roll call, please?
Melissa Mullins-Mischke.
Here.
Dwayne Hogan.
I'm here.
Glenn Minnick.
Here.
Adam Karanka.
Here.
April Daly.
And if I could just remind everybody in the audience, since we've got a large group tonight, to turn your cell phones off, the volume. And remonstrance is your opportunity for public comment. There will be no other comments unless you are here to remonstrate for or against a petition. So if everybody's clear on that, I will entertain a motion for the approval of the 17th of May meeting minutes.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Okay, the petitions this evening is petition number 1 for a variance of developmental standards for Kevin Shazbeck for construction of an addition with a 5-foot setback, side setback instead of the 10-foot required, and a front setback of 20 feet instead of the 25 required. The property is located at 1318 Shady Lane, Walkerton, Lincoln Township, zoned R1B.
Notice is adequate.
Great, thank you. If you would please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, Kevin Shashek, 1318 Shady Lane, Walkerton, Indiana, 46574.
And Kevin, why don't you tell us what is unique to your property that requires these setbacks?
So looking at, currently the house doesn't have a garage and we live there full time. So with the addition of the garage, I'm looking at adding this to the front and side of the house. And I think it's the best fit for use for the property. Trying to look at different configurations is just what makes the most sense.
Okay. Do we have any remonstrators this evening for this petition? Anyone for or against petition number 1? What kind of questions from the board?
With the addition of the garage, how much of effect is that going to have on the living space? Addition, removal, replacement, that sort of thing?
There would actually be an addition to the living space. So currently the property of the house is approximately a little over 900 square feet. By the addition, by putting the garage where it is, there would also be a room addition up to the back side of that, would give me an additional bedroom and an additional bathroom. So that would turn it from a 2-bedroom house to a 3-bedroom house. An additional square footage living space.
I'm sorry, did you say how many square feet?
Currently it's like 980, I believe.
9, but how much would be adding?
So we're looking at adding 400 to the backside and then a roughly a 10 by 15 area, so another 150 square feet there.
Okay.
Good.
Okay. If there are no questions, I will entertain a motion.
Well, so I'd like to provide a motion of approval for the petition of variance of developmental standards for Kevin Shashek. Thank you.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Petition number 2 this evening is a petition for variance of developmental standards for Tim Kohler, leaser, and White Oak Farm Properties, LLC, leasee, for an off-premise directional sign. The property is located at 6713 North, 525 West, Michigan City, Springfield Township, zoned R1B on 23 acres.
Notice is adequate.
Thank you. And if you would, please state your name and address for the record.
Rebecca Engstrom, 5766 Warnke Road, Michigan City, Indiana.
And your name, sir?
Greg Engstrom, same address.
And which party are you guys representing?
White Oak.
So the other, Tim Kohler is not here.
No, he signed, he already signed.
Okay.
This wasn't cut when I was back
How large of a sign are you intending to put up?
It's like
there. Oh,
it's probably on there, I don't have that with me, but it's
Doesn't
just a
say there.
smaller directional sign. It's called a Trailblazer sign. We've been working with the INDOT, and we want to put the signage on 94, so you have to have one on 94, and then again on 20, and then on 525, we have to have a Trailblazer sign. So if we don't get the Trailblazer sign, we can't get the ones on 94 and 20 to direct our clients and their guests to the venue.
what are the size of it?
It's about 8 foot tall. It's there's photos in there, right? And it has the actual dimensions.
Maybe.
Oh,
Maybe near.
yeah, there's one here for Finnick Farms Brewing Company. 24 by 18, blue background.
24 by 18.
Like this.
30 by 30 panel.
Do we have any remonstrators this evening for this petition? Anybody for or against petition number 2? Nope.
Very good. You okay with this?
Yeah, I like know where I'm going.
Yes.
I do too.
Ready?
Yep.
Okay, I'll go ahead and make a motion for petition number 2 for Kohler and, I'm sorry, what's your last name again?
Engstrom.
Engstrom's, for permission to put the sign size to be
30 by 30 panel, 24 by 18 sign.
That's the sign. Are you gonna put a light on it? No light.
Okay, I have a motion and a second.
Second.
sorry, do
You
I
do
have a second?
You do have a second.
Okay. Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Good luck. Petition number 3 is a petition for variance of developmental standards for Dennis Stewart for construction of a pole barn in front of the home instead of the rear, also with a height of 24 feet instead of the maximum 18. The property is located at 4335 North US 35, LaPorte, Center Township, zoned R1B on 2.005 acres.
Notice adequate.
Okay. If you would please state your name and address for the record.
Dennis Stewart, 4335 North US Highway 35, LaPorte.
Dennis, what's unique to this barn that we need, your property that we need to make the height taller than the requirement?
Well, there was some confusion on how they judge the height. It was told to me that it's halfway between the eve and the peak, and it's not the actual peak, so I was a little confused on what that measurement was. It's supposed to be a maximum of 18 feet, but I'm not sure. But I need a 16-foot eve height to get a large motorhome in there and
Okay.
a hoist.
Yeah, you would need 16 foot.
Yes.
Yeah. Here.
Also, do you want to continue with questions or go to the...
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. What's the nature of the hoist? Is this to operate a business or is this
No,
to...
no, no, just
Oh,
personal use.
Personal use?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the reason you're not going to the, I guess, the northwest is your septic field is out in that area.
Yes.
Okay.
What is the overall size of the
40 by 60?
property?
I think that's big enough.
I think it's big enough, yeah. You gotta have at least 18 foot though, you have, RV.
So what is the 18-foot, I mean, how is that measured? Can we get some clarification on that?
We recently found research that it's the halfway point between the wall height and the peak.
The wall height and the peak and the angle?
Yeah, so it's the center point is the measurement, that is the max.
Why would they care about the center and not the overall height, if that's the requirement?
I have
The
to.
center would be the bottom of the truss there, right?
Right.
Top of
Roughly,
the
and-
bottom of the truss.
And once we found how that works in the code, we've created a handout that we can pass out to the public, so it'd be easier to understand.
Okay.
Without a variance, so the max is 18 foot.
Right.
That's what-
Are there any remonstrators this evening for petition number 3? Anybody for or against it? If you'd like to have a seat, I'm going to ask you guys to come up one at a time and make sure that you're giving us new information. We don't want to hear the same thing repeated over and over, if you would, please.
So here's the lot. Barn's gonna come over here.
If you would, please state your name and address for the record.
For Wells, 4363 North, 400 West, LaPorte.
Okay.
My concern is our property is right next to Dennis's, and where he is building this shed, it is right by my driveway. And the way the angle of our road is, it's not a straight shot. And we have problems now with turning off of 35 onto our road
Okay.
for cars not
Right this way?
seeing what is going on. We also have problems, even our own, backing out of our drive. And I'm just not sure what obstruction this shed is gonna cause for people off of 35 to turn in, or us getting out of our drives to see the traffic that's actually turning onto 35.
So if you would, you're on 400?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, she's here.
Glenn. So he's right here. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Let's hear from the next one, if you would.
This is already a berm here.
Good evening. If you would please state your name and address for the record.
Sure. First name is Newell, last name Fredline, 4382 North Highway 35. My concern is the location of this building that he plans on putting up. We have 8 school buses that use that highway and that road every day. Being this close to that highway is gonna make it almost impossible for the bus drivers to even see the oncoming traffic, whether they're getting onto 35 or trying to cross it. He's got 2 acres there, I don't know why he can't set it back.
Very good, thank you. Any further remonstrators? This is your chance.
I can't mix that up back.
Okay. If you'd like to step back up. Why don't we talk a little bit about what are the reasons we're not going behind the residence? We know that the septic is to the northwest-ish.
The underground utilities for the electric and natural gas run right across the best possible place for it. Behind that, there's a tremendous elevation change that would require extensive dirt work and would require a retaining wall to keep the remaining part of the hill from sliding off. It's just not cost prohibitive to do it that way. As far as the building being close to 35, it's 25 feet off of 400 to the center of about a 5-foot tall berm, and then it's another 10 feet past that is where the side of the building would be. So I guess I don't see how there'd be an obstruction or not being able to see traffic. And then if you're talking on 35, it's 50 feet away from 35. So.
Okay. What kind of questions do we have as a board?
I mean, I can see the remonstrator's point. It is going to be blocking the view of 400 quite a bit. You know,
I guess
road angles. It's kind of hard when you're coming to a road that doesn't come
I
up
think so.
flat against the
Right
highway.
in here,
I guess that depends. As I look at their sketch shows the partial plot.
Yeah.
It doesn't show the entire plot, so
thing.
you don't really understand how far off of 35 it is.
Right.
How far off of Highway 35 is the nearest point of the building?
So this point right here.
Got to be more than 50
So he's
feet.
saying 35
I mean,
feet,
at
yeah.
least. Maybe 65.
Okay.
Madam President?
Yes.
If I could jump in.
Please.
We went to the site to take pictures and do an inspection. Where it's marked at the physical location does not quite match up to what is on the drawing.
Right.
So we used physically what was on the site as well as pasted off. And I checked line of sight from the stop sign at 400 to make sure that cars pulling up to the stop sign would have unobstructed view of traffic on 35.
Yeah, they do.
They do, if they were coming up to the stop sign to turn onto 35. But that's the only line of sight that I checked.
Since I didn't go out there, I don't understand.
Well, that makes more sense now, but why it doesn't match up.
So, approximation that Ashley just gave me
That's what
is what they
witnessed.
witnessed.
Right.
It gives a size, rough size.
Can't go back this way anymore.
Did you see that on the site?
Yes, I did see that. I'm sorry, so that's what
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Very good.
Drawing in the trouble with the septic system. That's just it that way.
So, Mike, are there any other variances on this property for the shipping container is currently on the, I don't know, I forget it's the west end of the property?
Due west.
Not that I'm aware of, and we did not discover that until we went to the property to check that out. So
Okay.
the homeowner came out while we were there, and we asked him about it. That's when he said he was using that for building materials for the project. Now, I would add to my earlier comment, there's a fairly large berm along the, what is that, 400? Which could be considered obstructing the line of sight. But there's plenty of room past that, pulling up to the stop sign to see around the berm. And my understanding is that the proposed structure would sit even farther back than the berm.
The berm is roughly 120 feet long by 5 feet tall, 4.5 feet tall. And it was put there solely to keep people from driving through the yard, turning off of 35 onto 400
It's a deterrent.
as a deterrent.
So, are we going to require him to come back for a variance on the storage container?
I guess that's your call, and you could ask how long he would remain there if it's a temporary.
Well, as soon as the barn's built, the container will go away. It's
My concern is more that it wasn't published with this petition. So the notice is not out for everyone that you want to keep the storage container for a period of time and put the building in there.
Well, I wasn't aware that there had to be one.
Indeed, there is. So what I'm kind of mulling over in my head right now is, do we want to table this petition until next month when you can re-advertise for the storage container and for the height of the structure and the location of the structure all at one time, or refile for the second petition?
Well, yeah, I mean, he can file for the second petition, but you can still decide on this one if you
Right.
want, yeah.
We're gonna get this one knocked off the table if we're gonna approve it, but he has to compare back with the storage containers.
Just trying to consolidate
Yeah,
is one of the options. So what's the pleasure of the board?
I wonder if there's any thought of removing that berm, or did you put that there?
Yes.
I mean,
That can be lowered.
it could be lowered substantially, so at least a car could have a better line of sight coming on 400 to Highway 35.
There's no line of sight issue with the berm. It's far enough off the road.
I've seen it.
Again, were you satisfied with the line of sight?
Yes, I went up to where the stop sign is, and you can see, like, if you're the third car back at the stop sign, you're not gonna be able to see around the berm.
Oh, yeah.
But if you pull up to the stop sign, facing straight on to 35, you can see. Oh, sorry, one more thing.
Please.
And section 16.09 in the joint zoning ordinance, it does list semi-trucks, shipping containers, and construction equipment, and it refers to them being allowed to remain on any property during construction. What does that say, longer than? While in use for a construction project?
I think for consistency purposes, we've always used it as a variance to have a shipping container on there.
Yeah, I
It just keeps it tighter.
have not approved one without a variance.
Right now, my feeling is we should keep the variance alive for the containers. Because one will lead to 2 to 3 to 4, and it's open up the door. Right.
What do you think, Adam?
Yeah, open. I recommend that we table based on clarification of placement of the actual building relative to the sightlines for 35, in order to have more information to judge on for that concern at the intersection.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to table for 30 days.
30 days.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Okay, we're gonna table you for 30 days and we'll see you next month.
So for clarification, I guess for what I'm asking for is where are the actual site corners, and publish that to this to a drawing, so where we've got something clear to judge from when it comes to the actual intersection of 35 and 400. This seems to be the biggest sticking point right now that we're trying to mull over.
So are you gonna send someone out to do that, or do I have to provide something to you, or?
For legality's sake, what do we need to have?
I mean, I thought he took pictures when he was there.
We're gonna get in touch with Sheriff Boyd too, probably, and see what kind of accidents in the area.
I recommend that you provide an updated site plan to our office, contact Ashley in our office, and we need to take care of the publication for the shipping container at the same time. So you got a couple things we need to go over. Contact our office. We'll walk you through getting the publication and also an updated site plan from you, so that they have a better idea of sight lines and where the actual placement of the building is. And also make sure that it's still physically marked on the site, where the footprint
Absolutely.
of the structure. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, petition number 4 this evening, and I apologize, that meeting is going to be July 19th. Petition number 4 this evening is a variance of developmental standards for Dennis Traub Jr., Lisa M. Traub, and Lynn Latchford for splitting property into 2 parcels, 7.9 acres and 2.5 acres. One parcel will have 143 feet of road frontage and the other 200 feet of road frontage. The property is located between 119 and 121 North, 600 East, LaPorte, Wills Township, zoned ag on 10.4 acres.
I need your notice information, please.
One of them.
Actually, I'll use one driveway.
Yeah.
Whenever the view starts.
Yeah, one of them. Yeah. I know.
Notice adequate.
Thank you. If you would please state your name and address for the record.
I'm Dennis Traub Jr., 8 North Depot Street, P.O. Box 333, Rolling Prairie, Indiana, 46371.
I'm Lynn Latchford, 3801 South Road, Rush, Knox, Indiana, 46534.
What brings up the need to split the parcels, this parcel into 2?
Am I gone? Just
Thank you.
We're just, yeah. Just, basically my end will be for me and my dad, so I have family there for him also when I'm out there, so.
And then the 7.9 for you and your wife?
My wife and our children, yes.
Do we have any remonstrators this evening for or against this petition? Any remonstrators for or against petition number 4? Are you going to have individual driveways?
Yes.
One for each residence? Okay.
That's good.
And I just want to make sure that you understand if we approve your petition that you need to get in touch with your fire department.
Yep.
Make sure that your addresses are clearly labeled on each one, since your second house will be set back quite a bit.
We're gonna put the driveways on opposite sides of the property. so
That does
it'll be-
help.
Very good.
That's very good.
Yeah, just make sure they're clearly marked and that they know you're back there. What kind of questions from the board?
saw it, it's fine.
Yeah, seems quite straightforward. If you're open for it, I'll provide a petition for variance developmental standards for Dennis Traub Jr., Lisa M. Traub, and Lynn Latchford to be approved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Good luck.
Thank you.
Petition number 5 this evening is a petition for variance of use for Ivan Fedor, seller, and Michelle Lesueur, buyer, for conversion of the existing church building to a bed and breakfast and a writer's retreat. It is owner occupied. The property is located at 1748 East, 1000 North, LaPorte, Galena Township, zoned ag on 0.5 acres.
Need your cards, please.
I don't know.
No, not versus 5. 9. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Notice is adequate.
Thank you. If you would please state your name and address for the record.
Michelle Lesueur, 452 Northwestern, Chicago.
And your
60612.
Scott McKenna, same address.
So it says it is owner occupied. Who is the owner that's living in it?
I would be moving into it.
Okay.
We would both be moving
So you're not living there currently?
No, we are not
Okay.
living there currently.
Tell me about your plans for the bed and breakfast and writer's retreat.
So there's two properties, there's two buildings on the property. There's a house, it's a 6-bedroom house, so for 6 bedrooms it's not large. And then there's the church property, and the church property has the chapel, and it has what were 6 classrooms, and it has a kitchen, and it has 4 bathrooms currently, and a kind of a community dining area. And so it's primarily cosmetic. We want to turn the chapel area into a bed and breakfast primarily for people to come and write.
So I'm looking up the address here just because I want to get a look at where the cemetery is located in relationship to.
It's adjacent to, it was probably combined with the chapel at some point, but it is immediately adjacent to the land, and it's essentially landlocked. And I've been talking to members of who oversee the cemetery and working with them. I know they're here today. I'm sure that they can share their thoughts on it. But we've been working with them to ensure that they have full access.
Okay. And so currently access to that cemetery is through your property?
Absolutely.
Okay. Have you thought about any kind of access?
We have discussed it. We've discussed it in full. We will provide an easement for them to ensure that they have access. We feel very strongly that we should codify it to ensure that whoever owns this property moving forward in the cemetery is protected. And we want to give part of the land to the cemetery because the cemetery actually needs a little bit more than what they currently have.
I like to hear that. I hate the word easement. It's like bad words.
The easement kind of has to happen because the building needs it, but there's land that the cemetery needs in the.
But there is a long-term goal to alleviate the need for the easement.
Okay, excellent.
Is that?
No, the access will probably always need to be shared with the chapel property. I mean, maybe you could go on the other side. You probably need to always do it, but the cemetery in conducting burials needs some additional land, and that the main property does not need.
Okay. Well, let's hear from some remonstrators. I have a feeling there are a couple. Are there any remonstrators for this petition? Anyone for or against it?
Yes, Larry Cadwell. My address is 3303 East, 800 North, Rolling Prairie. I'm the chairman of the board of Heckman Cemetery. And we did meet with Michelle, and she did agree to the permanent access easement on the east side and approximately 8,500 square feet of property that's been used for at least 70 years and probably much longer as part of the cemetery for maintenance, for burials, and for cemetery visitors. And with all of that, making that a permanent part of our cemetery is to our advantage, and we're in favor of the proposal.
Sir, could I get you to repeat your name for us?
Larry Cadwell.
Larry Cadwell? Okay, thank you very much. We do have a written remonstrator that is from Edward Ransom and is available in the building department if anybody would like to read it. It appears to be not in favor of the bed and breakfast retreat. Okay, if there are no other remonstrators, are there further questions from the board?
Well, I think you answered it pretty much with making sure the cemetery was going to be protected for the future use. That was, when we drove by it, that was the first concern you would have. You sit there looking at it, figuring, what are you going to do later? So that pretty much my biggest concern.
Okay. Are you going to need any sign?
I think there's currently a sign outside for the chapel, so if we
Use existing?
we wouldn't
Okay.
do anything beyond that. It's a 6-story chapel. We're not doing anything elaborate.
Okay.
And I will, and just to alleviate some concerns, I did receive an email from Warren Ransom, and he wanted to ensure that the septic was okay, and we found that the septic was near the end of its useful life, and so it's being replaced, and it's being replaced in a way, it accommodates both buildings as is, and we're not doing probably less use than the chapel was.
Are you working with the health department on the septic?
We will.
Okay,
I mean,
very
that's
good.
something we want to ensure is
Sure.
acceptable regardless.
Okay, very good. Okay, if there are no further questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Do you think maybe somehow you can add
Oh.
on acceptance from the cemetery board for the easement, permanent easement and this?
That'd be a finding of facts and make sure the attorney had it worded that way. We're talking about maybe leaving the,
He wants some wordage in the motion that their requirement for the easement for the cemetery.
to stay there.
To be given to them.
Yeah, that'd be the finding of facts.
I think one other question, probably concern, is just with that corner is how many tenants, boarders, how much really added traffic do you have coming in and out of that driveway?
The idea is for us to live in the house and primarily rent out the chapel. There is potential at some point there would be some overflow into the house, but I don't anticipate 6 cars, 6 groups on occasion.
Okay.
So not more than the church would have had on a normal.
There are that many parking
Probably,
spots
Sure.
already.
probably less than that.
That's already
Okay.
there.
Unless it's a very small.
It's already there.
All right. If that's all, Melissa, I'd like to provide a motion for petition of variance of use for Ivan Fedor and Michelle Lesueur to be granted, provided that there is easement for continued use of the driveway for access to the Heckman Cemetery.
I agree with that. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Your motion passed. Good luck.
Thank you much.
Good luck.
Petition number 6 this evening is a petition for variance of developmental standards for Alila Hollander for construction of a 30-foot by 40-foot pole barn prior to construction of primary residence, will serve as a workshop and storage for construction of primary residence estimated to begin in 2023. The property is located at 9489 North, 600 West, Michigan City, Springfield Township, zoned R1B on 10 acres.
She's getting her notice in late, so it needs to be tabled
Tabled for 30 days or to the end of the
Yes.
meeting?
till next month.
Okay.
Okay, so do I,
Yeah, I'll make the motion to table petition number 6 for 30 days.
Second.
so that will be the July 19 meeting? I have a motion and a second to table. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Very good. Petition number 7 this evening is a petition for special exception rather, for Edward Lake for raising and keeping 20 chickens maximum for your property located at 7241 West, 400 North, Michigan City, Cool Spring Township, zoned R1B on 0.866 acres.
There you go, sir.
Group's gonna go way back here. Or- Yeah, way back there. And then the first thing is, they asked.
Notice is adequate. Madam President, if I might add, folks, when you come up, before you go there, come here so I can start checking. Thanks.
Very important.
Very good. Thank you. Did he say notice is adequate?
Yeah, adequate.
Thank you. If you would please state your name and address for the record, please.
This is Edward Lake and address 7241 West 400 North, Michigan City.
And Edward,
Yep.
how would you tell me why you need 20 chickens?
Well, actually,
what's the plan?
When we filled out the form, the woman in the office was asking us, how many would you like to have as a maximum ever? And we were just thinking, just threw that number out there. And I don't think we would be starting off with that many at all. So I thought, she kind of put that out there, and I didn't really have a good estimate at that time.
Okay. Have you had an idea of how many chickens you might want to start with?
Probably like maybe a dozen.
Okay. Are they going to be all hens? Are you
Yeah, we're planning on doing mostly egg-laying hens.
eggs? Yep. You definitely don't want a rooster for that.
No.
Do you have children that do 4-H or anything?
Well, yeah, hopefully pretty soon. Yeah, we just
Okay.
moved to the area, so that's what we're planning to do.
As I was out there walking around the other day, it looked real nice, talking with your wife there. She showed me where the location is going to be. It's far enough from the back, off the way. And I want to applaud you for asking first to have chickens before you just put chickens out there and asking later.
Yeah.
Let's do it the right way.
We get that a lot. So then I just want, the kind of run that you're going to have, is it movable? You're going to move it around the yard, or is it going to be stable in one location?
I'd prefer to have a movable chicken coop if possible.
Okay. And you want to make sure that if you,
Primarily keeping it further in the back as much as possible.
okay, and you have a netting covering over it for
Yes,
protection for your,
we definitely need that.
Mhm.
There's hawks in
Those
the area.
hawks,
Yeah, you definitely
they're
do.
Bad. Real bad.
okay. Let's see, Edward, if we have any remonstrators tonight for your petition. Anybody here for or against petition number 7? Okay. What other questions from the board? Glenn?
I don't have any questions.
Okay.
Ready? Ready?
Just to answer your question from earlier, 20 chickens requires less than a half an acre.
Okay, so I agree with a maximum of 20.
Yeah.
That's a lot of
Max.
chickens, though.
12's a good number to start.
The
I
only other
agree.
advice I'd advise is coming out of the code, being here, talking about a movable coop, is keeping it off of the septic field.
Yes. You have plenty of room back there when you walk around from side to side.
Yeah,
to the back.
it looked like plenty of room.
Plenty of room. I'll go ahead and make the motion for the petition, special exemption, I'm sorry, for Edward Lake for raising, what's that, max of 12 or 20 chickens, located 7241 West 400 North, be granted.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
Good job.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Are those considered urban chickens?
Yes.
400? I don't know. I want to,
Sure.
okay.
That's why it's special exemption.
Absolutely. So petition number 8 this evening is a petition for special exception for Gavin Carlson and Brittany Murphy for keeping and raising a maximum of 10 chickens. Property is located at 7678 West, Brookside Court, Michigan City, Cool Spring Township, zoned R1B. And I don't see how many acres we have there. So it just looks like, according to Beacon, it's just a lot.
corner lot there.
That's adequate.
Thank you. If you would please state your names and address for the record, please.
Brittany Murphy, 7678 North Brookside Court in Michigan City.
Okay.
Gavin Carlson.
All right. What is, again, I'm going to ask you guys, what's the purpose for the chickens?
Okay, so the chickens is just a small hobby flock, just for the purpose of, you know, food stability and like health. We started off with a larger number of chickens because when you order, they try to sex them, but they're not always sexed. So we did end up with a rooster. He's been relocated and the flock has been downsized. We have 6 hens.
So you have 6 currently?
Yes.
Okay. You just didn't really need a variance for chickens?
No.
Okay.
We're first time homesteaders.
Okay. And do you have children that do 4-H as well, or?
We have 2 children. My daughter is in part of her 4-H program at Discovery Charter School.
Okay, does she show chickens?
Not yet.
Okay. Is that something you think she might want to do?
Yes, they just now started laying, so they're just mature.
Okay, let's see what kind of remonstrators we have tonight for your chickens. Petition number 8, anybody for or against them? All right, if you guys would have a seat, we'll hear what your neighbors have to say.
Good evening, my name is Steve Floor. I reside at 4955 North Brookside Drive.
What
So
are you-
these are good kids. You know, we get it. You know, subsidizing income, children in 4-H. We get it. It was a little hectic over there. They were all out in the open. They've since, and it was, what really started this was a rooster. They've since confined them and, you know, tightened it up a little bit. You know, we don't want goats.
No.
You know, we don't want goats. We don't want that kind of stuff. But you know, they're good kids. They take care of their yard. So recently, my wife and I talking about you know, possibly refinancing or selling the property. I'm 66. I don't know if I'm going to leave, or I mean, it's harder to find a home than it is to stay in the one you got. But realtor told us that this has an adverse effect on our real estate if there was farm animals in the neighborhood. It's a really nice neighborhood. It's well kept. So I'm not like beating the bush on this. I'll leave that to you and whoever else comes up and speaks to decide, you know, the fate of the chickens. But you know, when we moved into this neighborhood, we did know the ordinance. You know, when you spend $200,000 on something, you know, you want to know what you can do, and
sure,
that's always something that should be considered. So that's really all I have to say.
Steve, can you tell me, is it better now? You said that they got rid of the rooster, they've kind of contained them. Before it was like a free-for-all, chickens all over.
No, they weren't all over.
Is it better?
They had a fence, and it was a little, you know, I sit in my room, my family room, and look out on the chickens running through the yard. But you know, as I explained to them coming up to this today, I inadvertently started this mess. I had called to find out what the code was, and then I was asked what the property was on my property, and then next thing they've got an orange sticker. So, you know, I apologize for starting that mess, but, you know, here we are. So, it's cleaned up, the rooster's gone. Anything else?
No, that's it.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you would please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Nevin McFarland, and I live at 7656 North Brookside Court.
What are your concerns?
I have no concerns. You know, maybe a little bit about property value, but as far as the chickens, no. They have a nice run for them. They have a nice coop for them. They're both good kids, Carlson and Murphy. They're nice people. And like I say, the chickens don't run wild anymore, and I don't see any sense in why people, as long as they keep them in good shape, and we don't expand to any other animals. It's okay. And I live right next door. Their property is here, mine it butts their property, so.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you so much. Any other remonstrators? Sure, if you want to come up to the podium though so we get you on record.
Does this carry over with the next residence? Or does it end with these residents? So when they,
It's
if
gonna
they
be
ever move
tied-
out, then
tied to
this
the-
is done?
Right, tied to the homeowner.
All right, thank you.
Okay, any further remonstrators? If you guys would like to come back up, I've heard a lot about goats. I don't see anything about goats on my paperwork. So are there plans to put any other animals, livestock,
No, we have 3 dogs and
big dogs that we can ride? I mean,
We do have big dogs.
okay.
We have Bernese Mountain.
But we're not gonna add any more?
No.
Okay.
That explains I was knocking on your door the other day when them dogs were going crazy.
Yeah.
That was me out there in the front, and didn't go any further either. Trust me. I didn't dare look over that fence. I didn't know where they were.
Okay, so no goats, no other livestock. What do you guys do with the waste material from the chickens?
We actually have a small compost container right back behind the coop.
Good,
And that's where we put the shavings from the coop.
Okay.
good.
What kind of questions do we have from the board?
So you're currently down to 6.
We're down to 6, yeah, 6 laying hens.
And is 6 a workable number? I see 10 here, but it sounds like everybody's happy with where they're at, with the numbers in the state that we're at right now.
Right, we have no plans to get any more. Now, chickens pretty much max out for laying at 5 years old. So if that would be the case, then we would probably look to maybe get a couple chicks to replace them once they stop laying and, you know, we're no longer alive. But other than that, no.
Okay.
Okay.
Real good.
So I'll entertain a motion if there are no further questions.
I'll make a motion that the petition for special exception for Gavin Carlson, Brittany Murphy be granted for keeping a maximum of 10 chickens.
Second. No goats.
No goats. Sorry. No goats.
So a maximum of 10 hens?
Yep,
Hens.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
yeah, me.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
Good luck.
Good luck. Maybe
Nice dogs.
maybe offer your neighbors some chicken, some eggs. Help it out. Okay, petition number 9 this evening is
Yeah.
my mom. Petition number 9 is a variance of developmental standards for Robert W. and Amanda L. Mary to keep 10 hens on less than 3 acres. Property is located at 5123 West Indian Trail, LaPorte, Springfield Township, zoned R1B.
Thanks for going to $9 a dozen.
Right.
Right.
It's so true.
Can I get your cards, please?
It should have already been provided.
Oh, my apologies. Notice is adequate.
Great.
My name is Robert W. Mary. I reside at 5123 West Indian Trail, LaPorte, Indiana, 46350.
And I'm Amanda L. Mary.
Speak up, please.
Good.
And
Yeah, I'm gonna need you right in that mic.
And I'm Amanda L. Mary, and I'm on 5123 West Indian Trail also.
And how many acres do you actually have there?
We have less than an acre. It's like,
Okay.
it's about a half an acre.
What's the one?
Yeah.
Of the
Here,
ordinance.
address that.
Calls for any less than 3.
There was I'll jump in while she's looking at it, petition sent to us with remonstrators, one with some people's names on it here, ready to go, saying that they're not in favor of it at all.
And it's against the covenants, I think.
Pardon me?
Is it against covenants?
Yeah, it's what they say, is each have to sign the petition in a minute of the, it's of the covenants, don't worry about it, it's validated or voided the covenants that you have out there, so. And there are several signatures on it, looks like it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 17, 18 signatures or so. So it's pretty much the entire neighborhood in which you're in.
So you have 10 hens currently, no roosters?
I think this pretty much started off because, you know, we went to Tractor Supply and we bought a few chicks.
And one was a rooster, or at least 3. That happened to me as
some
well.
roosters. And we spoke with our neighbors, those directly next to us, to the left and to the right. And at that time, they shared with us that it didn't really bother them. And this was about 3 years ago, but I guess times change, and it began to bother some of the neighbors. So after one of our neighbors contacted us and strongly told us how he did not like the chickens and the roosters, we got rid of the roosters. Actually, the next day we got rid of the roosters, and we downsized the chickens. So we have hens. We have 10 hens.
So
left
10
at the
currently?
point. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you guys, do you have children that do 4-H or anything that show chickens?
They're not currently doing that yet, but that could definitely happen.
How long have you had these chickens? About?
We've had them since 2019, since before the COVID pandemic. So we've had them for 3 years. Initially, and we have to apologize. Initially, I tried reading the ordinances online for LaPorte County, and I saw that chickens were considered domestic animals like dogs and cats, and so I was like, okay, we're good to go. However, well, that's what I get for trying to read legalese. So.
But no one's ever had a problem. We keep our coops very clean, and our hens are very well taken care of.
But you do have a pretty nice setup.
It is
back
a
there
nice,
for
yeah,
that.
nice coop.
As I was walking around with your husband there, he showed me the other day. It did look pretty nice.
Okay, let's see if we have any remonstrators tonight for petition number 9. So if you guys will have a seat.
Evening.
Good evening.
My name's Harry Honer, 5357 North Burma Drive. My friends call me Skip. My friends that aren't friends call me other names. I've lived in the subdivision since 1976, and the covenants that were presented to us at that time in the recorded plat of subdivision of Indian Estates states there should not be any livestock or poultry contained on the property. We haven't heard the roosters crowing the last couple weeks, but they explained that. My feeling is that it's a recorded subdivision, and we should honor the covenants that are hereby always extended in consecutive 10-year periods. So I can't understand why people, because this is a recorded document that has the covenants, conditions, and restrictions, and it's public notice. And I think that they should always have their own, follow the restrictions of the covenants. That's my point. And their lot is 0.45, 100 by 200 feet.
Do you have someone that enforces your ordinance for the subdivision?
In the past, I have gone to neighbors and it's been years since we've had this issue. I've gone to the neighbors that had chickens and asked them, do you know the covenants don't allow chickens? And they said, we'll take care of it, and removed it. This hasn't happened this time.
Okay.
And I have not talked to them. I don't even know them, but I heard the rooster up until a little while ago.
Sure. So generally speaking, enforcing covenants is going to be a
civil
requirement, absolutely, and not something that the board is going to take into consideration for their decision.
I understand, and
Just so
we're
you're
capable of doing that.
okay. I just want to make sure you guys are aware that those covenants may be enforceable on your side, but don't really have a role in our decision making.
I understand.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Any other remonstrators tonight for petition number 9? If you would come on up and state your name and address for the record, please.
Thomas Fletcher, 5233 North Burma Drive. And my concern is that if this variance is granted, other homeowners within the subdivision, there's something like 40 or 50 homes in the subdivision, would also be looking for variances to add chickens, and all of a sudden we've got a chicken farm in our subdivision. And what I understand is there's several other chickens in the area also, and that's not what we moved into, 40 years ago when I moved into it. That wasn't what we agreed to move into. And So, and then I think you mentioned something, I heard on one of the other ones about the septic systems and stuff like that. We have septic problems in our area as it is because of the clay base and everything else. Any new septic systems going in there are all going into the mound systems. So that means that there's something wrong in the percolation of the property and stuff like that. So I mean, with all this chicken, whatever you want to call it,
Waste.
going through,
Right.
it's not good. It's not good. So.
Okay. Thank you. Hi there, if you would.
My name is Ross Carter, residency of 5101 West Indian Trails. I live next door to the Marys. Yes, they have been doing this for over about 3 years now. And there was a discussion prior to that, or at that time. I had a party, some neighbors came and they did complain. So upon that, I talked to Miss Mary and asked that they apply for any applications to do these chickens. And her reply was, Bob looked into the ordinance, that's what he figured that he was able to do. So I never had any issues. But as time went on, started out with 1 house, 2 house, 3 house, now a chicken coop. Roosters, 14, 15 chickens. And upon that, I went to the neighbors again, took a survey, and they kept telling me there's an ordinance or covenants. So I called, and I was the one that called. Well, I haven't heard anything from Mr. Maris, even in a petition. I do have a petition here. And there are more than 18 names over. I got about 2/3 of the name. I've got, out of the whole street itself, out of 11 houses, I got 70%. 2 neutrals. There may be 1 that does agree, but I do have the block. The rest of the neighbors that signed are in conjunction around the whole block, so I got a feedback. I did send each neighbor an invitation along with their variance, so that it would be no bias in this situation. So each one had a chance to come, and I do have neighbors here, and if the board would allow, instead of each neighbor coming up, if they could show a hand, because they all agree with what everybody said about the septic, the selling. If I wish to sell my house, then I have to worry about that. The other thing is, like I said, the acre's not there. They, misled that. He should have known. He said it's lot 3, so he should have known what that was. The other thing is, they don't have a privacy fence. I mean, if they had a fence, then I would have to deal with. The other thing I have to deal with is the chickens and everything else ruining the fence line, which is going to start concaving in. I do have a CDC recommendation that was put out, a statement on June the 9th, on the 22nd. And this statement puts out that there are, in fact, it's still an investigation and active. There's reported of 219 illnesses, hospitalizations 27, 1 death, 38 states. What this investigation shows, salmonella. They're saying that these backyard chickens, especially if you don't have their footage of their backyard, comprise of 9,000 to 10,000 square feet. Got a half acre, but you got figured 10,000 acres, that's your house and your front. So you got 9,000 square feet, over septic, swimming pool, and dogs. Now, I did another compile survey between chicken coops and dog poop. The common factor is salmonella. They do have an amount of dogs, approximately about 5 to 6, and they're allowing that and them to all roam together. The other thing that I do protest about where I am In my back area, I do my cooking, grills, everything in the back. And in the last few years, or year or two, I've been experiencing more rodents. And I know there are more, most of the neighbors were worried about foxes coming in. I mean, they do have a coop, but they don't have a gate around the coop. They don't even have a fence around that area. Like I said, you got 9,000 square feet, no fence around it, so they're roaming the whole yard. And their rodents, or my rodents, they're mine, they live there, they go to house there. But heck, they live on, they're sleeping on a better mattress than I am. They're bringing their feathers and nesting them in my grill and around my property. I can't get rid of that. There's nothing I can do about that. I mean, as they said, they lived here for 17 years approximately, their daughter, and I've been there 21. The other neighbors has been there for 30 to 40 years under the provision of the covenants. When they signed the deed to buy into that area, they should respectfully abide by the covenants. And as you said, it may not be no good, but we have to go to the civil court. So what do we have to do? But we do ask that the board recognize the covenants and our petition, either delay it or, like that. But like I said, we do have neighbors here. Instead of each one spending, if they would like to, we would let them to raise their hands. Would you like to raise your hand?
I would like to see a raise hand. Everyone against it?
Yeah. Yes.
Is there anyone here for the chickens? Okay. Okay, thank you.
That's all I'd like to say. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Please, ma'am, if you'd like to speak. Sir, if you'd like to wait just one moment, let's give her an opportunity to speak.
My name is Joan Petoskey, and I live at 5141 West Indian Trail, LaPorte. I am Amanda's neighbor, and we love her chickens. We've enjoyed watching them. She has shared eggs with us. She has a beautiful coop for the chickens that is better than probably some children live in. As far as the ordinance goes, I've been in that neighborhood this July 4th, 48 years. And when we moved in, there was supposed to be horse trails and a playground area for the kids. Well, that never materialized. And when I asked Mr. Verma about that, he said, oh, horses come down your street every once in a while. So Amanda's chickens are her pets. She loves them. She takes very good care of them. In the wintertime, they insulate, they run heat. I see no problem in her keeping her chickens. The neighbor next to me is fine with the chickens staying, and the neighbor across from me, she had to work tonight, is also for keeping the chickens. So that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. and Mrs. Mayor, if you'd like to come back up. Who wants to start with questions? You want to start with some questions?
I think we should start with some questions.
Go ahead.
Well, we can understand our neighbors' concerns. For one, in regards to the salmonella, we kind of take a common sense approach to raising our backyard chickens. You know, we make sure that we keep the coop clean. We also keep the run clean, which is covered, of course. You can see that in the pictures. We make sure that the food is locked away so that rodents can't get to it. Are there field mice? I don't know where you can go that you will not have field mice. Is there an increase in field mice? I personally haven't seen it, but I can't answer for my neighbors. Again, in regards to the salmonella, we make sure that whenever we deal with the chickens, we clean the eggs, of course. We wash our hands if we're not wearing gloves. We have boots specifically to deal with the chicken coop. And when we give away the eggs, we make sure that they're washed. Joan, she was just up. Mr. Carter, he's also received chicken eggs from us. And there's been no cases of salmonella because, again, we care for ourselves as well as our neighbors. In regards to the property value, I did a little bit of research before we even got the chickens to see whether or not it would, diminish the value of our property. And it goes back and forth. There's arguments on both sides. There's nothing really conclusive. However, what it kind of boils down to is whether or not the coop looks good or not, if it's falling apart, if it's actually taking care of the needs of the chicken and the chickens or the hens. And as you can see in the pictures that, we spent a little bit of money on it. And unfortunately, we should have done our research or maybe filed for the variance beforehand, and we wouldn't be here today. But we try to keep the peace with our neighbors, and we'll try to stick with anything, of course, that you guys deem necessary. But we do love our chickens, and we do everything that we can to take care of our chickens. They take care of us. And our yard is fenced in so that it will not, the hens do not jump the fence. They do not go into anyone else's yard. He said the coop wasn't fenced in. It is. There's a run that they can be housed in if we're out of town or whatnot, so that they just don't have run of the property.
Have you had problems with fox or other animals getting into your coop in the past?
We did 3 years ago with a raccoon, but since as you've seen, the coop is kind of critter-proof. I would put like a no-kill trap to make sure that there isn't anything. I've never had a fox. I've never even had a raccoon for over 3 years. So, yeah, we don't have any problems with that.
And what do you do with the waste material?
We have a compost, and then I have a lot of friends that have gardens and look forward to it.
Okay.
We have a waiting list. That's all. Unless you have something else. Do you have questions for us?
Yep, hold on, let's see what.
The only question is, first off, what a nice neighborhood to live in. Nobody's attacking anybody personally here. This is just, a problem in the neighborhood. But the chickens are allowed to walk over a large majority of your backyard. And just like we said, they're not supposed to be over a septic system. I wonder if part of the answer might be to be able to enclose it more, to not let the chickens roam through the whole backyard, make sure that they're just in a smaller area.
Yeah, we do have like a run off of the coop that's fairly, yeah.
We understand.
But perhaps that would, suffice for the neighbors to just, maybe in a recommendation or in the motion that we would talk about that they cannot be out of their own fenced area, not the whole backyard, and maybe talk about how many square feet that would be. So it wouldn't include, I don't even know where your septic system is. It's somewhere back there, I take it. There's no room in front.
Well, the coop is not over the septic. It's all the way in the back.
No, but you're saying they're traveling over it.
I do.
Chicken's not going to be that invasive, but I think the neighbors, if you isolate the birds more to your, center of your lot, I think people would accept that better.
Adam, do you have any questions?
I have no questions.
Dwayne?
Questions? No.
Thank you.
I kind of agree with you, Glenn. I think keeping them in a more contained run might keep them away from up where the neighbors' homes are at and where their activities are at. I think that would help. So if there are no further questions, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that the petition for the variance of developmental standards for Robert and Amanda Mary be granted to keep 10 hens but they need to be contained in, I don't know how to do it. I mean, they have to be contained in their own fenced area and must be excluded from any septic field.
Sir, we're in the middle of a motion. We're not accepting any more remonstrance or comments.
Well, I don't know if I have to say anything more than that. I can see that everybody's concerned about everybody. I'm sure they're gonna do the best they can. I don't, you know, let's say a fenced area that is no larger than two times the size of the coop itself. So they have an outside area that could be twice that big, but it's totally excluded from the rest of the yard.
Okay.
Okay? Does that work for you, Doug? Okay.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Okay, good luck. If you have any questions about the sizes or anything, please get in touch with the building department.
That'll work out well.
I hope so.
I think give them a second.
So petition number 10 this evening is a petition for variance of developmental standards for Terry and Donna Bottomley and Joe Ramirez. If I could get you guys to move out kind of quickly so we can continue on with the meeting, that would be wonderful. For splitting up property with one side having 100 feet of road frontage and the other 85 feet will be approximately 3.37 acres, and the 85 feet will be approximately 1.2 acres. And to keep a mobile home on the east side. Property is located at 9415 West Highway 2, LaPorte, New Durham Township, zoned ag on 4.576 acres. Good job, Glenn.
Notice is adequate.
Okay, if you would state your name and address for the record, please.
Terry Bottomley, 9415 West State Road 2, LaPorte, Indiana.
And your name?
My name is Joe Ramirez. My address is 9411 West State Road 2, and that's in LaPorte, Indiana as well.
All right. Go ahead if you guys want to start.
And what is it you plan on doing here?
Well, I recently moved from Ohio back to Indiana, and I moved into my parents'. That was their modular home that was on my brother's property. Been there, what, about over 30 years, hasn't it?
About 85?
Yeah, since about 85. So my wife and I have remodeled the whole modular home, so now we're just wanting to split that property pretty much down that driveway, just to kind of help my brother with property taxes and all that.
What year is the mobile home?
I know, I'm trying to, she wants to know what year, my lord. Well, I think it was in 1985 is when they put it on there.
But it definitely looks well maintained, so.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of work to it, so yeah.
And you put it there in the 80s as well?
It was my parents' home. So,
Okay,
yeah.
so it was placed there in,
Yeah, that's what, yeah, when my dad retired, he had to put on that property.
all the way.
All over the back, you split it.
What's your question?
My question is why split it?
To help relieve for the taxes. If I understood that correct.
Yeah, because right now I just pay for the mobile home tax. My brother pays all the property.
Taxes.
So eventually what we're gonna do is he's gonna sell me that parcel of land, so it be kinda, just alleviate some of that property tax that he's paying now, so.
You don't want to leave it the way it is and just help him out with the property taxes, I think is what.
Yeah. Doesn't, well, I don't know. I mean, that's, she says, do we wanna just leave it like it is and I help you pay property taxes? I don't know.
That's not the purpose.
but
And the future's already there.
I would like to keep, like my property part of it, I would like to keep it from the end of life, till we pass away, and before I pass away, I'm gonna make a will, and I'd probably leave everything to my brother. But right now, I want to have my property part of it, and my brother have his part.
I kind of think we're on the same page.
Same page, yeah, we just pay for it, but
same page.
it's all the same
Yeah.
page.
Attorney Beachy, would you like to jump in on this one?
Mine's all the same.
I don't see any legal issues. It's surely a board decision.
Is it
So you're so well paid.
mobile
Is it?
home?
Is it what?
It's a mobile home. It's not on a foundation, it's not.
Yes, not on well, it's on a concrete slab is what it's on, but yeah,
Right, which
they called it a modular home when my parents bought it, so.
So a modular and a mobile are technically different.
I didn't see any skirting when I was on the property talking with Mr. Bottomley yesterday.
Yeah, I don't see anything on the photo.
Yeah, so modular would not be subject to the board's moratorium on mobile homes.
There's no wheels or anything beneath the home, right? It's just setting on a slab attached to the foundation.
Yeah, it's with the frame of it, yeah. It's attached to the foundation, right. Can't be moved or nothing
So it's
like
not
that.
mobile. Yeah.
What do you plan on doing about the driveway?
We're just gonna share the driveway.
Yeah. Right here, he's one.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at when you approach the driveway, you clearly see the two numbers posted.
Absolutely.
Right here, 279. One driveway, two properties.
I just don't see a benefit to this.
So Terry, we spoke about this a little bit more yesterday, right? And I'm trying to connect the two discussions. As I understand it, the whole property as it stands right now is what you were talking about, eventually leaving everything to Mr. Ramirez, correct?
He's saying like, God forbid that you guys pass away, that you're gonna will the whole thing to me? Is that what you're implying? Oh, probably will. So there you have it. There's brothers, see?
Okay, then now we understand.
Oh, what?
Then I think now we understand what's
And I
going
gotta
on.
keep his dog too. That could be a deal breaker.
There is no advantage one way or the other.
Are there any remonstrators tonight for petition number
Of course.
10? Anybody
Of course
here
not.
for or against it? Are there any further questions of the board? Because I'd like to entertain a motion. I mean, if this is absolutely what you want to do, I think it's going to be 6 of one, half dozen of the other. But if this is the way you want to proceed, then
That's
Well,
about the only way I look at
make
it.
a,
It's about the only way I look at it. It seems like their personal preference
Right.
at this point.
Their life.
right,
Yes.
so I will entertain a motion.
Melissa, I'd like to provide a motion, variance of developmental standards for Terry and Donna Bottomley and Joe Ramirez be granted with the exception that we clarify that the mobile home, what's stated on the original petition as a mobile home is, I guess, stricken and redefined as a permanent structure.
I believe it is a modular.
I'll second that, I believe that.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Okay. Good luck.
It's on
Make sure
paper.
you get the dog in writing
You
too.
get it all. It's just, looks some of the same.
Petition number 11 this evening is a petition for variance of developmental standards for LaShonda Moon for keeping and raising 20 chickens and 16 goats or sheep for milk and meat. The property is located at 1713 East, 800 North, LaPorte, Galena Township, zoned ag on 2 acres.
Thank you.
What's that?
Oh, I drove by it. It's been a long time. It'll lead. Everything. I'm trying to make that person. Whole fence line.
Right. All right, so we have receipts. We have no names on any of them. I know it's up to the board whether the board will accept that, but I cannot provide assurance that these were sent to any individual, or particular individuals, or adjoining property owners.
So we have proof.
I think we should table it.
What's going on here?
Well, hopefully some of your neighbors can come back on July 19th when we're going to hear it again
That would be my motion.
to make sure that we have proper publication for everyone.
So just so you folks understand, when you send these out, you get a green card back where somebody signs it. Well, maybe it's too early, I don't know, but talk to the post office, because we got to be able to verify that you notified your neighbors, and that's how we do it. Okay?
Do we need a motion? Okay.
You're doing great. It's 1 hour, 7:30.
I might get a nap yet. Petition number 12 this evening.
Do we need to make a motion to table?
I just asked him, he said no.
The motion table is yeah. All right, let's do it.
Second.
Second.
I have a motion to table and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Okay, so we're gonna table petition number 11 to the July 19th meeting. Moving on to petition number 12.
Wait a minute.
Mike, we're moving on to petition number 12, so if you guys wanna, thank you. Petition number 12 is a variance of developmental standards for Edward Aaron and Diane Aaron for separating off 2 acres. Yeah, if you guys just want to go out into the hall and shut the door if you would, please. Thank you. So again, the developmental standards for Edward Aaron owner and Diane Aaron for separating off 2 acres from 26.62 acre parcel using an easement for egress and building a home and pole barn being built first. No road frontage. The property is located at 5835 West, 500 North, LaPorte, Indiana, Springfield Township, zoned R1B on 26.62 acres.
Notice adequate.
Thank you, and if you would please state your names and addresses for the record.
My name is Diane Aaron, and I reside at 5835 West, 500 North, LaPorte.
Okay,
I'm Kevin Aaron, reside at the same place.
okay. Who's got the petition? So I can see it. Oh, we just tabled them. Oh, boy. Oh.
I don't. There's 0 road frontage there?
Yes, sir.
That'd be to the south.
25-foot utility easement with a driveway down to.
It's a long drive back.
Yeah, it's about a third of a mile back. We're gonna be in the front
They got
2 acres of that driveway.
Is a total about 26 acres there total?
26.6.
I could call this up, but I'm just gonna walk over there and see what's going on there.
So this comes along.
Oh, shoot.
Have you obtained the easement yet?
Pardon me?
Have you obtained the easement yet?
The easement has been obtained forever. When the place was built, my father's been there for 15 years, and it's his easement.
Okay. So it's pre-existing?
Actually, if you look at these,
I don't understand
these bigger blueprints, there is a strip of property that does touch 500. You can see it on these bigger blueprints.
I think we'd like to see those. I think we're all a little confused on.
Try to make things a little easier.
Great. What took you so long, Kevin?
Well, I was just sitting here thinking, maybe we do have road.
We are looking at it like,
Not zero. Okay.
I see about.
Here's your county line 500, here's County Road 500. This is your utility easement, okay? Father's property goes from here to 500, comes over and comes back to here, and then over here, over here, over here. Okay, so we're looking at this first 2 acres without the driveway. We're not gonna purchase the driveway. We're gonna leave the driveway go with my father's residence.
Where's yours gonna be?
Mine's gonna come right off of this corner here, and we're gonna get a use from him. Then we're gonna come off of here and come right straight in, as close to the property line as possible. Because these other 2 houses here, they have rights to this driveway, but my father owns the driveway. So I don't wanna get involved in all of that legalities. So we're gonna buy on this side of the driveway only, and not own this driveway. We'll be using 15 feet of his driveway, which he will grant us, is all we're gonna be using at his driveway.
Why do we continue to subdivide?
And the main reason for this one is my father's 85 years old, and he lives here part-time, and he lives in Chesterton the rest of the time, and we've been taking care of this property since he has bought for him, mowing grass, cleaning, doing whatever needs to be done. And so he's wanting to give us 2 acres here to put a barn and a house on, so we can continue to maintain this, and we don't have to commute back and forth.
Okay, let me get this straight. So you've got, but what's back here? You got a house?
Right here. House and a garage right here. That's my dad's house and his garage.
Okay,
What is that?
what's this?
This is Chris Kaufman's house, and this is Sue Kaufman's house.
And they have easements over this,
They're using the same easement.
so
They have-
you're gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4 people using this easement,
Mhm.
correct?
Yes. Yeah, the easement is actually from here, there.
Who maintains that?
We do.
Yeah.
And if you're not there, who maintains that?
Chris.
Do you have a maintenance agreement with the easement?
Yes.
Do you have a copy of the easement?
No, because when we went to the recorder's office, she couldn't get the information off of the paperwork before we had this here, and it states on here where it's at. The easement condition within DR, references book 270, page 69.
No, because sometimes they don't own it no more, it's not,
Right.
it's so convoluted, it wouldn't be funny. All 4 landlords wouldn't know who
Well,
owned it, wouldn't know what's what.
Sue has
about
been
fire?
at that
No.
property for over 40
Fire,
years.
ambulance, anything.
Over how many?
Last time I checked, that's what a subdivision's for.
That's what that would be.
It needs to be subdivided.
a minor sub.
Could be,
No, you don't have enough access. You can't even do a subdivision,
not with no road frontage.
right?
As I'm
Well, you
looking
can
at,
do without road frontage, but I don't think that's wide enough for county specs on the road. Might be.
Yeah, if it is.
It looks like an end run around a subdivision, that's what it looks like.
Exactly what it is.
is that
Subdivision,
road,
not be a subdivision.
If you're in front of the plan commission, they're gonna require you to have a subdivision.
yeah. So as I'm looking at the plot map there, am I seeing a road that continues on as you go, as you get past to, is it 5335 or
58,
50
5837.
the house at the end, your father's house?
Right.
Okay, so I get around the corner there, cross in front of the pond. Is it turn north again and go up
No.
to?
No, it
Okay.
goes straight to the 2 houses and stops there.
5837.
Well,
Have we all seen, do we want to get it back to the?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot. That is actually looking at a subdivision.
Can we keep one of these, either the small one or the large
Well,
one?
I let you keep one of the big ones. Let you keep one of the big ones.
Okay, awesome, thank you. And we'll get you guys back to the podium. Adam, over here.
I'm just trying to follow the different property lines here, where I see where you mentioned Mr. Kaufman that owns, it looks like 4 parcels along that pond. Chris Kaufman owns four separate parcel IDs, and then you have the one in question we're talking about splitting off of. It's that large portion adjacent to it. So these. There's
Yeah,
1,
this
2,
is all-
3, 4.
Right.
They were the front.
And when were those created?
These all predate our ordinance. 95 was the one that he found.
Yeah, they do, but this request is subject to the current ordinance.
Subdivision.
There may be a way to do it in an administrative subdivision or a small subdivision. I mean, there's more than one way to skin this cat.
There is. I think I would think legal
I don't-
counsel
I was
is the
gonna
best
say-
way to go with
Yeah,
it.
I think so.
It's not the way to
Very
do
good
it.
do it.
Not the best way.
No, I mean, a denial would not prevent them from getting something in front of the planning commission.
Right.
Right.
I think need the legal advice, counsel with them, and then work with your surveyor and come up with a plan and an idea. Because it's just, there's a lot there, it could be done there, but it's gotta be done right. So, I think if you get the right counsel to help steer you, that would help a lot.
Yeah, I think you can accomplish what you want, but go about it a different way. Because historically, the board's not crazy about mutual easements, multiple easements along the same line, but with a small subdivision and a proper road, it can be done.
So what's our next step then, is to get the surveyor and a lawyer, or, I mean?
Attorney.
An attorney.
And now you're talking proper road. That would be bringing to county standards, right?
Into the mic, please.
Kevin, can I get you to talk into the microphone so
Well, again-
we're on record?
I was wondering if that would be county standard road going all the way back to the.
Get a lawyer, get a surveyor or a lawyer, talk to them about it, and they can, there's more than one way to tackle it, put it that way. This is probably the worst way to do it.
Okay. Yeah, we were going the simplest way, so we were hoping. Gotta start somewhere, I guess.
Deny it?
Well, that's just it. If we deny it, then he's.
He can
done.
still go to
Yeah,
planning
yeah,
commission.
if this board denies it, it does not preclude them from going to the planning commission.
Okay,
So there's no time limitation, they don't have to wait.
okay. I don't want to handcuff him any more than what
Right,
it already is.
right. No, you won't
I was
be.
thinking.
You won't be.
So are there any remonstrators this evening for or against this petition? Any remonstrators for or against this petition? Okay, seeing none, I will entertain a motion.
Melissa, I'd like to provide the motion for the petition variance and developmental standards for Ed and Diane Aaron be denied.
And I'll second that. For the conversation we've had here today, you know it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to deny. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
Thank you.
Okay, good luck.
Good luck.
All right. Petition number 13 is the variance for developmental standards for John and Catherine Mack, seller Anina and Jordan Bridgman, buyer, for construction of a home without 200 feet of road frontage and only 120 feet of road frontage. This property is located west of 4588 West, 1375 South Hannah Township, zoned ag on 16.68 acres.
Anna who?
Good evening. See how your legal work is.
No, it's adequate.
Thank you. If you would please state your name and address for the record.
John Mack, 16 North Thompson Street, Hannah.
Jordan Bridegroom, 253 Erie Street, Valparaiso, Indiana.
Okay.
Nina Bridegroom, same address.
All right. John, you own the property,
Yes, my wife and I own the property.
and you had a previous variance
We did.
for this.
We appeared before this board back in April of 2010.
Okay.
At that time, we were petitioning to sell 2 acres from the existing parcel land that was 18.74 acres.
Okay.
The problem that it would leave us was that it did not leave 200-foot of road frontage, which then could have hampered our ability to build our own home on the property in the future. So we requested variance. Our total road frontage on the property is 137.33 feet. And your request then, before we actually parted with that 2-acre parcel, was to make sure it wasn't going to prevent us from building there. At that time, then, the board did grant the variance that we requested.
Great. Do you have a drawing or anything that shows how you want to split the parcel currently?
And we're not actually splitting the parcel, but I can have the
That would be great.
survey drawings
Not splitting the parcel.
cut down to just 8.5 by 11 size.
That's perfect, thank you.
I've got enough for everybody.
Okay.
Thanks, sir.
Sure. So parcel number 1 is the 16.68 acres that we currently would like to sell to the bridegrooms. My wife and I decided that we haven't built in the 12 years since we requested that variance. The likelihood that we're ever going to get that accomplished is pretty slim, and just decided it was in our best interest to just park the property.
Okay.
And they have the same wishes that we did to build a single-family residence on the 16.6 acre parcel. And we're just anxious to see something happen with that
Okay.
is along the same lines as we had planned.
Jordan, do you have a drawing of where you want to place the residence?
No, ma'am. It's just kind of up on the hill on the back side of the property towards the railroad track. Kind of, there's a spot where the property kind of rises.
How about you come over here and we'll have you mark on here.
Yes, ma'am. So, right up off of here, kind of back in this area here, it kind of goes up on a hill, and that they're kind of a higher area than the rest of the property, and the rest of the property kind of loads down, and that was where we were wanting the house itself.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. What kind of time frame are you looking at building, starting construction?
Sooner than next year at this time. It's not the ideal time to be building properties.
I understand that. Do we have any remonstrators this evening for or against this petition? Anybody for or against it?
One thing I would like to add for the board's consideration was in the access to the property. I don't know if you recall at the time that we brought this before, we talked about the drive being limited to that 107-foot section on 1375. We'd still like to consider possibly using that 30-foot
Off of 450.
section off of 450. I did take some pictures, and I think it is a better safety position to enter and exit that location.
Because of the railroad tracks, I don't disagree with you.
If you're interested in
That hill.
drawings, I can show them to you. But the 107 foot is about this high from the road. And even if you cut a drive down through there, you're going to be somewhat restricted in your vision both directions. And for people that are traveling the road, I think they're going to be obscured if you try to pull out.
I agree, it's definitely gonna be a safety issue. I think the concern, I'm gonna speak for the entire board here for a moment, is that we're gonna require no further subdividing of this parcel.
And that's what you had in the variance before.
Right, so I think that 30-foot driveway would, when you talk with the county, may work. but definitely no further subdividing, so that's where that 107 feet access, I'm sure, would have been in consideration. Okay, so we have no remonstrators. What kind of additional questions do we have as a board?
You answer that, no
No.
subdividing.
Between the proximity of the tracks, that bank and the extra access, we've got it covered from my perspective.
Okay, so if there are no further questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Melissa, I'd like to provide a motion that the petition for variance of developmental standards for John and Catherine Mack and Nina and Jordan Bridegroom be approved, provided that there is no further subdivision of the property and access to the home to be built sometime in 2023 or later. Have be accessed from 450 west versus the what is that? 1375 south.
I have a motion and
Okay,
a...
wait, you're gonna put an access restriction in it?
No, I don't think we want to restrict access, but there's no reason to restrict that they can't use the 450 road for their driveway.
That's why I wanna clarify. It was in the motion,
what
did
I
you intend to put a
I had it
restriction?
as a restriction. Which are we putting ourselves at risk as a board if I put it as a restriction to where they're not coming out
On 1375.
on 1375 south?
Well, you could put it as a restriction if you want.
If you feel strongly about it, I think it's a good idea.
I agree.
I mean, it's a steep bank. It's a nasty proximity to that railroad track.
So no access from 1375 south?
No primary access from 1375 south.
All right.
Still a second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you should ride your bike down that. Okay, is there any further business before the board this evening?
Yes, Madam President. A previous variance petitioner contacted our office. This is the one for the fence on Johnson Road.
Okay, with the dogs.
Rachel Farias.
Mm-hmm.
She had stated that they were having problems moving the post and asked if she could amend the plan to cutting the fence down to the 3.5 feet.
No.
With the chain link above it.
Well, they already have new construction started there, so.
Correct. So our communication with her was that I would bring this back to the board and then we would contact her with whatever the board decision is, and then we have a separate contact going out, which is a letter regarding the new construction that needs to have a permit.
Agree.
Yeah, do we need to make a vote? No? Okay, I think,
Technically, it's within his discretion, but
right,
he's just checking.
yeah, I agree.
But thanks for the information, I appreciate it.
No problem. So the direction from the board to me is no on the request for an amendment, and they have to stick to moving it back to that, what was it, the second post or something?
I agree.
Yeah, I dropped it back.
Okay,
Whatever that was, 8 or 12 feet.
Sounds good.
that's all I have.
Anything further from you, Attorney Beachy?
Yeah.
Okay,
Nope. Motion adjourned.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Good night.
Good job tonight.